Hey guys, today I'm going to be sharing with you my birthday book haul. So my birthday is in March, and I love nothing more than going to Barnes & Noble on my birthday and just treating myself and buying a bunch of books. So yeah, that's what this video is going to be. It's going to be my birthday book haul. You guys enjoy. Yeah, a lot of these that I am just super happy about, and I can't wait to get to them sometime in the future. First up, let's start with a work of non-fiction, and this is Richard III, Loyalty Binds Me by Matthew Lewis. And I really like historian Matthew Lewis. I'm subscribed on YouTube to the History Hits YouTube channel, and Matthew Lewis tends to always have like videos on that channel, and he's always doing things, and a lot of times he tends to focus a lot on Richard III in a lot of his videos. So yeah, I definitely wanted to pick up his book about Richard III, because he is definitely very pro Richard III, I think, which I love, because I'm rather biased as well, and I'm kind of pro Richard III as well. So yeah, like I said, this is just a work of nonfiction about King Richard III of England. Good guy, bad guy, who the hell knows? Either way, we're intrigued. Yeah, I can't wait to get to this. Looks really fascinating. I can't wait to kind of get into a deep dive of his theories and thoughts about Richard III. Next up, I purchased The King's Messenger by Susanna Kearsley, and this is just such a really pretty cover. This blue and yellow, this bird here, and I didn't know this when I purchased it, but it has the nice pretty edges. What are these edges called? I can't think what these edges are called. There's like a new proper term for them. But yeah, it's like yellow. There's like, what is that? Just a design of some sort, a flourishy design. But yeah, I thought that was really pretty. This book, let's see. It is the year 1613, and King James is sending his messenger, Andrew Logan, into Scotland with secret orders to arrest Sir David Moray, close friend and advisor of the late Prince Henry. Secrets are second nature to Andrew, who must hide his second sight to stay alive. Joined by a court scrivener and the scrivener's spirited daughter, Phoebe, Andrew slowly entangles the true purpose of his mission, to frame Sir David for Prince Henry's murder. But Andrew is unwilling to betray an innocent man. Phoebe dislikes Andrew, and their history makes it hard for her to trust him. But as their journey draws them deeper into the dark web of court intrigue, Phoebe begins to suspect that she might have more need of the king's messenger and his unusual gifts than she could ever have foreseen. Guess intriguing. Sounds like it's gonna be kind of sexy. Next up, The Other March Sisters by Linda Epstein, Ali Malanico, and Liz Parker. And yeah, if you can't tell from the title alone, this is supposed to be like an imaginative retelling of Little Women by Louisa May Alcott, but it's focusing on the other March sisters, because obviously Little Women focuses very, very strongly on Jo's story, her journey, and then the other sisters kind of, they kind of play in and out of there. So I think this is supposed to be kind of, like I said, an imaginative retelling of everything going on during the events of Little Women, but yeah, not focusing on Jo. Not focusing on her, focusing on what her sisters are up to, kind of in between everything else when she's not with them. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Next up, Something in the Walls by Daisy Pierce. What is in the walls, you guys? I need to know. I'm almost really tempted to like flip to the last page and see maybe what's in the walls. Do you think it'd tell me on the very last page what's in the walls? Maybe I shouldn't do that. Maybe that's a bad idea. But yeah, what is in the walls? Something creepy. A dead body. I'm going to guess it right now. It's a dead body. Someone is like buried alive behind some walls. I don't know. Maybe I'm getting a little carried away. Let's see. Newly minted child psychologist Mina has little experience in a field where the first people called are experts. She's been unable to get her feet wet. Instead, she aimlessly spends her days stuck in the stifling heat wave sweeping across Britain, and anxiously contemplating her upcoming marriage to careful, precise researcher Oscar. The only reprieve from her small, closed world is attending the local bereavement group to mourn her brother's death from years ago. That is, until she meets journalist Sam Hunter at the grief group one day, and he has a proposition for her. Alice Weber is a 13-year-old girl who claims she's being haunted by a witch. Oh dear. Living with her family in their crowded home in the remote village of Banithal? I have to look that up. Alice's symptoms are increasingly disturbing, and money is tight. Taking this job will give Mina some experience. Sam will get the scoop of a lifetime, and Alice will get better. Mina is sure of it. But instead of improving, Alice's behavior becomes increasingly inexplicably and intense. The town of Banmetho has a deep history of superstition and witchcraft. They believe there is evil in the world. They believe there are ways of dealing with it, and they don't expect outsiders to understand. As Mina races to uncover the truth behind Alice's condition, the dark cracks of Banmetho begin to show. Mina is desperate to understand how deep their sinister traditions go, and how her own past may be the biggest threat of all. Oh God, seriously, this little small town in England, I tell you, I'm calling it. Someone has killed somebody and they're buried behind a wall somewhere. This little girl's not a witch. She knows something. Next up, I have book 2 in this particular series by Cassandra Clare, and this is The Rag Picker King. And you guys, I haven't even started this series yet. I think it's supposed to be a trilogy. I'm probably honestly just going to wait until the 3rd book comes out, and then I will just do a massive binge of this series, because Cassandra Clare notoriously writes big, thick, huge books. I don't want to sit and read the first 2 books, and then by the time the 3rd book gets here, I can't remember what happened, because then that means I have to reread big, huge books again, and then in turn that takes away from me reading other books, you know what I mean? So that's why I'm a binge reader, if that makes sense. I don't like necessarily kind of having to reread stuff, unless I plan on doing so, you know, especially with just the sheer amount of books I have to get through. Rereading is really tough for me. But yeah, this second book, I honestly don't even remember what it's about. It's definitely set in a fantasy world, because, you know, something like The Mortal Instruments by Cassandra Clare, that's set in like our modern world. Whereas this, I believe, is set in some sort of unique fantasy world. And apparently George R. R. Martin, you guys, you know, he of Game of Thrones, George R. R. Martin apparently loves these books. So if he loves them, surely they're good. But yeah, just kind of reading this quick little blurb up here. It says, an arranged marriage, a forbidden passion, a prophecy realized, a glittering world of debauchery and secrets, and a sinister plot to bring it all crashing down. Welcome back to Castle Lane. I guess this world is set in some kind of place called Castle Lane. But yeah, sounds like typical Cassandra Clare, you know, fodder. Ooh, and before I forget, because this is like a special Barnes & Noble edition, I believe, underneath the flap, there's like this cool, sexy something or other going on. What's this about? Who are these people? I need to know. Next up, I got this cute middle grade book about the Titanic. You guys, I thought this sounded so adorable. Okay, maybe not. Okay, it's about the Titanic. Maybe it's not going to be so adorable. You know what I mean. But yeah, this is Iceberg by Jennifer A. Nielsen. And I love all things Titanic, you guys. Like I said, this is middle grade. So let's see. Hazel Rothbury is traveling all alone from her home in England aboard the celebrated ship Titanic. Girl, you probably just should have stayed home. Just stay home. Following the untimely death of her father, Hazel's mother is sending her to the United States to work in a factory so that she might send money back home to help her family make ends meet. But Hazel harbors a secret dream. She wants to be a journalist, and she just knows that if she can write and sell a story about the Titanic's maiden voyage, she could earn enough money to support her family and not have to go to a sweatshop. When Hazel discovers that her mother didn't send her with enough money for a ticket, however, she decides she must stow away on board the storied ship. Girl, turn around. Turn around. Don't you love, as a modern reader, someone getting on the Titanic and you're like, no, turn away. Go away. But then we wouldn't have a book, would we? The book would be over after a couple pages if they didn't get on the ship. With the help of a porter named Charlie and a sweet first-class passenger named Sylvia, Hazel explores the opulent ship in secret. But a haunting mystery quickly finds her. The danger only intensifies when calamity strikes, and readers will be caught up in the terror and suspense alongside Hazel as she fights to save her friends and herself. Oh my God. If this little girl dies, I might riot. I'm going to be upset. Please, I hope she makes it out alive, please. Speaking of the Titanic, you guys, I got another Titanic-themed book right here. I told you, I'm a sucker for all things Titanic. This is The Secret of Flowers by Sally Page. 1 year after her husband's death, Emma has become a wallflower, hiding among the brightest blooms in the florist where she works. But when a colleague invites her to talk on the Titanic, she begins a quest to uncover who arranged the flowers on board. As Emma discovers the lost story of the girl and the great ship, she realizes that flowers may unlock long-buried secrets in her own life. Will she be able to unlock the mystery of the Titanic and heal her own heart too? So, yeah, it sounds like some of this is contemporary. Am I understanding that correctly? It sounds like some of this is contemporary, but she's going to like do some research on somebody who, you know what, maybe not. Maybe I'm misunderstanding. I'm a little confused. The synopsis is a little confusing to me, sort of. I'm not sure if some of it's contemporary and some of it takes place on the Titanic. Or does all of it take place on the Titanic? I'm not quite sure. I'll have to give you an update. Next up, Starvacre by Andrew Michael Hurley. And I actually just recently watched this movie on AMC Plus. The movie stars Matt Smith and Morpeth Clark. I really enjoyed the movie. It's not perfect, but I enjoyed it. It's like a British folk horror story set in the 70s, and I quite liked it, and I was curious to pick up the book because it's just a really tiny book. I'm kind of curious, kind of similarities and differences between book and movie, so I'll get around to this hopefully sometime soon, especially since the movie is still fresh in my head. But yeah, if you have no idea what Starvacre is about, you guys, the worst thing possible has happened. Richard and Juliet Willoughby's son, Ewan, has died suddenly at the age of 5. Starvacre, their house by the moors, was to be full of life, but is now a haunted place. Convinced Ewan still lives there in some form, Juliet seeks the help of the Beacons, a seemingly benevolent group of occultists. Richard, to try to keep the boy out of his mind, has turned his attention to the field opposite the house, where he patiently digs the barren dirt in search of a legendary oak tree. But as they delve further into their grief, both uncover more than they set out to. And yeah, seriously, go watch the trailer for this, you guys. It's so eerie and atmospheric and creepy, and I'm definitely going to do a video review talking about the movie because I like the movie enough that I want to just hash it out in a video review. And just if you're interested in the movie, hopefully to get you to go check out the movie if it's your sort of thing. So yeah, hopefully I'll get around to the book at some point as well. I got this cute little tiny book right here, you guys. Like I said, I was at Barnes and Noble, and over at my Barnes & Noble anyway, if you go over to like the Starbucks section, if you purchase something, you can get a book $5 off. And this is the book that they were promoting, that you can get $5 off if you make a purchase at Starbucks. So I was like, you know what the hell, there's a cat on here, I'm going to get it. So yeah, what this book is about, because it's kind of cute. Let's see. Estranged from his family and living alone with only his cat, Cabbage, to keep him company, he was unprepared for the doctor's diagnosis that he has only months to live. But before he can tackle his bucket list, the devil shows up with an offer. In exchange for making one thing in the world disappear, the postman will be granted 1 extra day of life. And so begins a very strange week that brings the young postman and his beloved cat to the brink of existence. With each object that disappears, the postman reflects on the life he's lived, his joys and regrets, and the people he's loved and lost. So yeah, I didn't even tell you what this book was, what it's called. I just went right to the plot synopsis. It is called If Cats Disappeared from the World by Genki Kawamura. I'll have to do a pronunciation guide on that whenever I finally get around to reading this book. But yeah, this sounds really kind of sad and heartbreaking and funny at the same time, because it's like, it's about it says a young postman. It sounds like he has some sort of diagnosis that's not good, and he only has maybe a couple weeks, a couple days to live, perhaps. And this is going to be his journey of maybe some sort of self-reflection, possibly, and his coping mechanism with his impending death, you know. So I can't wait to get to this, because I have a feeling this is going to be one of those books that it's going to make me laugh and cry. Next up, I have Malinali. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. This is going to be a pronunciation. Once I finally get around to this book, I will do a proper pronunciation guide so I can figure out if I'm doing it correctly. But yeah, Malinali, I think, by Veronica Chapa. I love the cover design on this book too. It's like this nice blue color and some gold in there. It's really pretty. But yeah, what this book is about. The year is 1501, also known as the time of the fifth sun. On the banks of the mighty, it's a river. I can't pronounce it. Once again, I will get a pronunciation guide when I get around to this book. On the banks of a river, far from the great city of another name I can't pronounce. God, I'm terrible, you guys. A young girl is born. The soothsayer who draws meaning from stars says she will be cursed to live a miserable life. But as it turns out, he understands only part of the story. She is in fact destined to change the course of history. A real-life historical figure, the woman known as Malinali, She was an interpreter who helped Spanish conquistador Hernan Cortez communicate with the native people in Mexico. When indigenous leaders observed her marching into their cities, they believed she was a goddess, blessed with the divine power to interpret the Spaniards' intentions for their land. Yet, over the years, historians and pop culture would often deem her a traitor, the woman who helped sell Mexico's future to an invader. In this riveting fantastical retelling, Malinali is all those things and more. Malinali grows up believing she is the living heir to this goddess and longs to develop her magical powers at the House of Magical Studies, but fate intervenes when her twin brother Eagle is sent instead. Not long after that, Malinali learns that her father and brother have been murdered, and their souls have been condemned to the underworld. She is determined to develop her powers, journey to the city, and avenge their deaths no matter what the cost is to her. I have vaguely heard about this historical figure in passing. I'm kind of very, very vaguely aware of her. So I'm very curious to read like a whole historical fiction take on her and like do research after the fact. Like I said, whenever I do get around to this book, I will definitely look up a pronunciation guide so I can make sure I'm pronouncing everything correctly, because I feel bad that I can't pronounce half of what was in the synopsis here. Yeah, this sounds really good. And the last book that I have here for my birthday book haul, you guys, is Illuminous by Sylvia Park. And this cover, it's not the greatest cover, but at the same time, there's something about it that was just really eye-catching. I like the bizarre colors on it, and then you got like this tiger here that's also just in bizarre colors, so that's kind of what drew my attention. Even though it's not the best cover in the world, it still did its job by having some unique colors and a unique arrangement to it. So yeah, it did its job. Let's see. In a reunified Korea of the near future, the sun beats down on a junkyard filled with abandoned robots, broken down for parts. 11-year-old Ruji sifts through the scraps, searching for a piece that might support her failing body. There among the piles of trash, something catches her eye, a robot boy, so lifelike and strange, unlike anything she's ever seen before. Siblings Yoon and Morgan haven't spoken for years. When they were children, their brother Yo-Yo disappeared suddenly, leaving behind only distant memories of his laughter and near-human warmth. Yo-Yo, an early prototype of a humanoid robot designed by their father, was always bound for something darker and more complex. Now Morgan makes robots for a living and is on the verge of losing control of her most important creation. Yun is a detective with the Robot Crimes Unit, whose investigation is digging up truths that want to stay buried. And whether they like it or not, Ruji's discovery will thrust their family back together in ways they could have never imagined. Ooh. So yeah, this is set in a reunified Korea in the far, far future, it sounds like, having to do with like androids and robots and like futuristic technology, but yeah, at the core, like a family drama, Yeah, I can't wait to get to this. It sounds really unique and interesting. So you guys, that is it for my birthday and book haul. In the comments below, have you guys happened to have read any of these books just yet? Do you plan on reading any of them? Yeah, which of these in particular would you like me to get around to sooner rather than later? So that's it for this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you like this video, you may like these other videos. Bye, guys.